What if everything you learned about human history in school was wrong? What if our ancestors were far more advanced, far more ancient, and far more mysterious than we ever imagined? In the summer of 1922, a single discovery in Egypt's Valley of the Kings changed everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. But that was just the beginning. Over the past century, archaeologists have unearthed 15 extraordinary discoveries that have shattered our understanding of human civilization. From underwater cities that predate the pyramids to mysterious manuscripts that could rewrite the origins of knowledge itself, these findings suggest that our past is far stranger than our wildest dreams. Tonight, we're going to journey through these groundbreaking discoveries that have forced historians to throw out their textbooks and start over. Some of these finds have sparked fierce debates that rage to this day. Others have revealed lost civilizations so advanced they seem almost alien. And a few have uncovered truths so shocking that scholars are still struggling to accept them. Are you ready to discover what's really hidden in our past? Part 1. Treasures Beyond Imagination. Let's begin our journey in Egypt in November 1922, when Howard Carter peered through a small hole into a tomb that had been sealed for over 3,000 years. When his eyes adjusted to the darkness, he saw something that would make him famous forever: the untouched burial chamber of Tutankhamun. King Tut's tomb wasn't just a burial site, it was a time capsule that preserved an entire civilization in pristine detail. The treasures found inside were so magnificent that they redefined our understanding of ancient Egyptian wealth and craftsmanship. Over 5,000 artifacts filled the tomb, from golden chariots to jeweled daggers, each piece more breathtaking than the last. But here's what most people don't know about this discovery. The tomb almost wasn't found at all. Carter had been searching the Valley of the Kings for years, and his wealthy patron, Lord Carnarvon, was ready to give up. This was to be their final season. Just 3 days before they were scheduled to abandon the dig, a water boy stumbled upon a step carved into the bedrock. That stumble changed everything we know about Pharaonic Egypt. The tomb revealed something even more shocking than its golden treasures. King Tut, who died at just 19 years old, had been hastily mummified and buried. Recent CT scans of his mummy have revealed evidence of a possible murder, a blow to the head that could have been fatal. Was the young pharaoh assassinated? The mystery continues to puzzle Egyptologists today. But Carter's discovery was just the first domino to fall. What came next would challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient civilizations. Part 2. Cities Lost to Time. Imagine discovering an entire city that predates Stonehenge by thousands of years. In 1958, British archaeologist James Mellart did exactly that when he uncovered Çatalhöyük in Turkey. This wasn't just any ancient settlement. It was a sophisticated urban center that housed up to 10,000 people 9,000 years ago. Çatalhöyük shattered our assumptions about early human civilization. We had always believed that agriculture came first, then settlements, then cities. But here was proof that humans were building complex urban societies much earlier than we ever imagined. The houses were built so close together that people entered through holes in their roofs, moving across the city by walking from rooftop to rooftop. The walls of these ancient homes were covered in elaborate murals depicting wild animals, hunting scenes, and mysterious geometric patterns. Some rooms contained shrines decorated with bull skulls and clay figurines of what appear to be goddess figures. This discovery suggested that organized religion and artistic expression were far older than previously thought. But Çatalhöyük raised as many questions as it answered. How did people living 9,000 years ago develop such sophisticated building techniques? How did they organize themselves socially to create such a large settlement? And perhaps most intriguingly, why did they abandon this thriving city after 1,400 years of continuous occupation? The answers to these questions would come from an even more shocking discovery made thousands of miles away. In the early 1960s, underwater archaeologist Yonaguni Jima was diving off the coast of Japan when he spotted something that shouldn't exist: massive stone structures lying 60 feet beneath the ocean surface. These weren't natural rock formations. They were clearly carved by human hands, with straight edges, right angles, and what appeared to be steps and platforms. The Yonaguni Monument, as it came to be known, sparked one of the most heated debates in archaeology. Mainstream scientists argued that these were natural formations shaped by erosion and geological activity. But others saw something far more extraordinary: evidence of a lost civilization that had been submerged by rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age. If the monument is indeed man-made, it would mean that advanced human civilizations existed over 12,000 years ago, thousands of years before we thought humans had developed such capabilities. The implications are staggering. Were our ancestors far more sophisticated than we ever imagined? Part 3. Scripts that shouldn't exist. But perhaps the most mind-bending discoveries have come in the form of ancient texts that seem to contain knowledge that their authors couldn't possibly have possessed. In 1912, antiquarian book dealer Wilfrid Voynich acquired a mysterious manuscript from a Jesuit college in Italy. The Voynich manuscript, as it became known, appeared to be a medieval text filled with elaborate illustrations of unknown plants, bizarre astronomical diagrams, and page after page of text written in a script that no one could read. For over a century, the world's best cryptographers, linguists, and computer scientists have tried to decode this mysterious book. During World War II, the same codebreakers who cracked the Enigma machine took a shot at it. They failed. Modern artificial intelligence has been unleashed on its pages. It remains unbroken. The illustrations are perhaps even stranger than the text. The manuscript contains detailed drawings of plants that don't exist on Earth, astronomical charts that show configurations never observed in our sky, and bizarre scenes of nude women bathing in green pools connected by an intricate network of pipes. Who created this book? What secrets does it contain? And why has it resisted every attempt to unlock its mysteries? Some researchers believe the Voynich manuscript was created by Roger Bacon, the 13th century philosopher and scientist who was centuries ahead of his time. Others think it might be an elaborate hoax created by Voynich himself to sell to collectors. But the most intriguing theory suggests that the manuscript contains genuinely advanced knowledge encoded in a language designed to keep its secrets safe from the wrong hands. This wouldn't be the only ancient text to contain impossible knowledge. In the 1940s, a Bedouin shepherd boy threw a stone into a cave near the Dead Sea and heard the distinctive crack of pottery breaking. When he investigated, he discovered what would become known as the Dead Sea Scrolls, a collection of ancient Hebrew texts that had been hidden in clay jars for nearly 2,000 years. The scrolls contained copies of biblical texts that predated any known versions by 1,000 years. But they also contained something else: detailed prophecies about future events that seemed to demonstrate an impossible level of accuracy. Some of the scrolls described political upheavals, natural disasters, and social changes that wouldn't occur for centuries after they were written. How could ancient authors have predicted these events with such precision? Were they genuinely prophetic texts? Or did they contain coded information about cyclic patterns in human history that we're only beginning to understand? Part 4. The Impossible Ancients. But if ancient texts could contain impossible knowledge, ancient builders seemed capable of impossible feats of engineering. In the 1980s, archaeologists working in Peru made a discovery that challenged everything we thought we knew about pre-Columbian civilizations. Hidden beneath centuries of jungle growth, they uncovered the ancient city of Sacsayhuaman, where massive stone blocks, some weighing over 300 tons, had been cut with such precision that not even a knife blade could fit between them. These weren't primitive stone structures. The blocks had been carved with complex curves and angles that created a three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle of incredible sophistication. The largest stones were transported from quarries located miles away, somehow lifted into position without wheels, pulleys, or metal tools. How did people accomplish this feat with Bronze Age technology? The same questions arose at other ancient sites around the world. At Baalbek in Lebanon, archaeologists found foundation stones that weigh over 800 tons each. At Pumapunku in Bolivia, they discovered intricately carved stone blocks that fit together like modern precision machinery, created by people who supposedly had no knowledge of advanced mathematics or engineering. These discoveries forced archaeologists to confront an uncomfortable possibility. Maybe our ancestors weren't the primitive people we thought they were. Maybe civilizations existed in the distant past that possessed knowledge and capabilities that we're only rediscovering now. This possibility became even more intriguing with the discovery of the Antikythera mechanism in 1900. Greek sponge divers working off the coast of Antikythera Island found what appeared to be a corroded lump of bronze in an ancient shipwreck. For decades, it sat in museums, largely ignored. It wasn't until the 1970s that researchers realized what they had found: an ancient Greek computer dating back over 2,000 years. The Antikythera mechanism could predict eclipses, track the movements of known planets, and calculate the dates of Olympic Games decades in advance. Its gear system was so sophisticated that similar technology wouldn't appear again until the 14th century. Who built this ancient computer? How did they acquire the advanced mathematical and astronomical knowledge necessary to create it? And if the ancient Greeks possessed such technology, what else might they have known that we've forgotten? Part 5. Civilizations Beneath the Waves. The answer to that question might lie beneath the ocean itself, where some of the most startling archaeological discoveries of recent decades have been made. In 1985, marine archaeologist Frank Gaudio was searching for Napoleon's lost fleet off the coast of Egypt when he made a discovery that was far more significant: the lost city of Heraklion, ancient Egypt's most important port city, lying intact beneath 30 feet of Mediterranean water. For over 1,000 years, Heraklion had been Egypt's gateway to the world. Ancient texts described it as a magnificent city where Cleopatra was crowned and where Greek heroes came to worship. But around the 8th century AD, the city simply vanished. Historians assumed it had been gradually abandoned or destroyed by invaders. They never imagined it had sunk beneath the waves. The underwater city revealed secrets that changed our understanding of ancient Egypt's international connections. Massive temples dedicated to both Egyptian and Greek gods stood side by side, suggesting a level of cultural integration that historians had never suspected. Ships from around the Mediterranean had brought goods, ideas, and technologies that made Heraklion a cosmopolitan center rivaling Alexandria. But Heraklion wasn't the only ancient city hiding beneath the waves. In 1967, archaeologist Nicholas Fleming discovered what appeared to be the remains of a Bronze Age city off the coast of southern Greece. The Pavlopetri underwater city revealed evidence of sophisticated urban planning from over 3,500 years ago, complete with roads, courtyards, and multi-story buildings. These underwater discoveries raised a disturbing possibility. If sea levels were once much lower than they are today, how many ancient civilizations might still be lying on the ocean floor? Could the legends of Atlantis and other lost continents have been based on real places that were swallowed by rising seas? The most controversial evidence for this theory came from an unexpected source. In 1995, geologist Robert Schoch was studying the Great Sphinx of Giza when he noticed something that shouldn't be there: evidence of extensive water erosion on the limestone monument. But the Sphinx sits in one of the world's driest deserts. When could it have been exposed to enough water to create such dramatic erosion patterns? Schoch's analysis suggested that the Sphinx had been carved thousands of years earlier than Egyptologists claimed, possibly during a period when the Sahara was much wetter than it is today. If he's right, it means that advanced civilizations capable of monumental construction existed in Egypt long before the rise of pharaonic culture. This theory remains highly controversial, but it's gained support from an unexpected discovery made in Turkey. Part 6: Temples Older Than Civilization. In 1994, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt was surveying sites in southeastern Turkey when he came across an artificial hill that local farmers had been avoiding for generations. They claimed it was cursed. Schmidt decided to investigate anyway. What he found beneath that hill would revolutionize our understanding of human history. Göbekli Tepe turned out to be the world's oldest known temple complex, built over 11,600 years ago by people who were supposed to be nomadic hunter-gatherers. The site consists of massive stone pillars arranged in circles, each pillar carved with intricate reliefs of animals, abstract symbols, and humanoid figures. Some of the pillars weigh over 20 tons and stand nearly 20 feet tall. The implications of Göbekli Tepe are staggering. It was built before agriculture, before pottery, before the wheel, before any of the technologies we associate with civilization. Yet somehow, hunter-gatherers organized themselves to quarry, carve, transport, and erect these massive monuments. They did this not once, but repeatedly over thousands of years, adding new circles of pillars and burying old ones in a pattern that suggests sophisticated religious beliefs and social organization. Even more mysteriously, after maintaining the site for over 1,500 years, the builders deliberately buried the entire complex under tons of soil and abandoned it. Why would people invest so much effort in creating something magnificent only to hide it? Some researchers believe that Göbekli Tepe represents evidence of a lost civilization that possessed advanced knowledge before the end of the last ice age. Others argue that it proves our ancestors were capable of far more sophisticated thinking than we've given them credit for. But everyone agrees that Göbekli Tepe has forced us to completely reconsider what we know about the development of human civilization. The mystery deepened with the discovery of similar sites across Turkey and the Middle East. Karahan Tepe, Nevali Chori, and dozens of other locations have revealed that Göbekli Tepe wasn't unique. It was part of a widespread culture that built megalithic monuments across a vast region. Who were these people? Where did their knowledge come from? And what happened to them? Part 7: Ancient Technologies. The evidence for advanced ancient knowledge isn't limited to stone monuments. In 1936, a German archaeologist working in Iraq made a discovery that shouldn't have been possible: One appeared to be a 2,000-year-old electric battery. The Baghdad battery, as it became known, consisted of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. When researchers filled similar jars with acidic liquid, they generated enough electrical current to power small devices. But if ancient Mesopotamians had discovered electricity, why was there no other evidence of its use? Were these objects actually batteries, or did they serve some other purpose we don't understand? This wouldn't be the only ancient technology that defied explanation. In 1929, researchers studying medieval maps discovered something extraordinary. The Piri-Reis map, created by an Ottoman admiral in 1513, showed the coastline of Antarctica with remarkable accuracy. But Antarctica wasn't officially discovered until 1820, and its coast wasn't fully mapped until the 1950s. The map's accuracy was so startling that it caught the attention of the US Air Force, who concluded that it showed the continent as it would appear without its ice cap. How could a 16th century cartographer have possessed such detailed knowledge of a continent that wouldn't be discovered for another 300 years? Similar mysteries emerged from ancient texts that seemed to contain impossible scientific knowledge. The Vedic literature of ancient India described flying machines called vimanas that could travel through the air and even into space. These weren't vague mythological descriptions. They included detailed technical specifications for construction, operation, and navigation. Ancient Mayan and Egyptian texts contained astronomical calculations of breathtaking precision, predicting eclipses and planetary movements thousands of years into the future, with accuracy that rivals modern computers. Chinese texts from over 2,000 years ago described magnetic compasses and seismographs that wouldn't be reinvented in the West until medieval times. How did these ancient civilizations develop such sophisticated knowledge? Were they more advanced than we've assumed? Or did they have access to information sources that we've lost to time? Part 8. Mysterious Manuscripts and Forbidden Knowledge. The most tantalizing clues to this mystery might lie in ancient libraries that were thought to be lost forever. In 79 AD, Mount Vesuvius erupted and buried the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum under volcanic ash. For nearly 1,700 years, these cities remained frozen in time. When archaeologists began excavating Herculaneum in the 18th century, they made an extraordinary discovery: an intact ancient library containing over 1,800 papyrus scrolls. These scrolls, carbonized by the volcanic heat, were too fragile to unroll without destroying them. For centuries, they sat in museums, their secrets locked away. But recent advances in digital technology have finally allowed researchers to peer inside these ancient texts without damaging them. What they found is remarkable: works by ancient philosophers and scientists that were previously unknown to history. Some of these texts contain scientific theories and mathematical concepts that weren't supposed to be rediscovered until the Renaissance. Others describe technologies and discoveries that we're still struggling to under. One scroll describes a machine capable of precise astronomical calculations that sounds remarkably similar to the Antikythera mechanism. Another contains what appears to be a detailed map of the Mediterranean seafloor, complete with depth measurements and underwater topographical features. How could ancient scholars have created such accurate underwater maps without modern sonar technology? The most intriguing scrolls hint at the existence of a vast network of ancient libraries and schools that shared knowledge across the ancient world. They describe scholars traveling between Egypt, Greece, India, and China, exchanging information and techniques that help drive rapid technological and philosophical advancement. But if such a network existed, what happened to it? Why did this golden age of ancient knowledge come to an end? And could there be other hidden libraries waiting to be discovered? Part 9. Civilizations in Impossible Places. Some of the most shocking archaeological discoveries have been made in places where advanced civilizations weren't supposed to exist at all. In 1929, Russian archaeologist Mikhail Gryaznov was exploring the frozen steppes of Siberia when he discovered something extraordinary: the perfectly preserved remains of Scythian nobles buried in elaborate tombs filled with gold, silk, and anything else from gold records and artifacts that demonstrated sophisticated craftsmanship from over 2,400 years ago. The Pazyryk burials, as they became known, revealed that the nomadic peoples of ancient Siberia weren't the primitive barbarians that classical sources had described. They were master metalworkers, skilled artists, and accomplished horsemen who had developed a complex culture that rivaled the great civilizations of their time. Some of their textiles showed evidence of trade connections stretching from China to the Mediterranean. But the most shocking discovery came from the frozen body of a Scythian woman dubbed the Ice Maiden. Her skin was covered in elaborate tattoos depicting mythological creatures and complex geometric patterns. Radiocarbon dating revealed that she had died over 2,500 years ago, yet her tattoos demonstrated artistic techniques that we thought were much more recent innovations. Even more remarkable was the preservation of her burial goods. The Ice Maiden had been buried with a portable felt house, complete with furniture, cooking utensils, and even a small wooden table set for a meal. This wasn't the burial of a primitive nomad. It was the funeral of someone from a highly sophisticated culture that understood preservation techniques, artistic representation, and complex funeral rituals. These discoveries in Siberia paralleled equally shocking finds being made in South America. In the 1960s, archaeologists working in the Andes Mountains discovered evidence of advanced civilizations that flourished at altitudes where modern people struggle to breathe. The people of Tiwanaku, near Lake Titicaca, built massive stone monuments and developed agricultural techniques sophisticated enough to support large populations at nearly 13,000 feet above sea level. The engineering required to build cities at such altitudes would be challenging even today. Yet, these ancient peoples not only survived in this harsh environment, they thrived, creating artistic and architectural achievements that rival anything produced by more famous civilizations. Part 10. Bones that change everything. But perhaps the most revolutionary archaeological discoveries have come from human remains that don't fit our understanding of how and when humans evolved. In 2003, Indonesian archaeologists working on the island of Flores made a discovery that shocked the scientific world: the complete skeleton of a human-like creature that stood only 3 feet tall, with a brain 1/3 the size of modern humans. Yet this tiny being had used sophisticated stone tools and hunted large animals in coordinated groups. Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit, lived until approximately 12,000 years ago, meaning that multiple human species coexisted on Earth far more recently than anyone had imagined. The discovery suggested that human evolution was far more complex and diverse than the straight-line progression that textbooks had taught for generations. Even more controversial was the discovery made in Russia's Denisova cave. In 2008, researchers found a single finger bone that would revolutionize our understanding of human ancestry. DNA analysis revealed that the bone belonged to an entirely unknown species of human that had lived in Asia as recently as 40,000 years ago. The Denisovans, as they were named, had interbred with both Neanderthals and modern humans. Their genes live on in populations across Asia and the Pacific, meaning that millions of people today carry DNA from this mysterious extinct species. But perhaps most remarkably, genetic analysis suggests that Denisovans had adapted to live at high altitudes in ways that modern humans have only recently achieved through technology. Could these extinct human species have developed capabilities and knowledge that we've underestimated? Some researchers point to cave paintings and archaeological sites associated with Neanderthals and Denisovans that show evidence of symbolic thinking, artistic expression, and possibly even primitive writing systems. The most controversial theory suggests that these extinct human species might have developed advanced knowledge that was passed down to modern humans through interbreeding. Could the sophisticated technologies and astronomical knowledge found in ancient civilizations have originated from extinct human species that were far more intelligent than we've assumed? Part 11. Lost Cities of the Americas. This question becomes even more intriguing when we examine the sophisticated civilizations that flourished in the Americas long before European contact. In 2009, archaeologist Sarah Parcak was using satellite imagery to survey Egypt when she decided to turn her attention to the Americas. What she found would change our understanding of pre-Columbian civilization forever. Evidence of vast urban centers in the Amazon rainforest that had been completely hidden by jungle growth. These weren't small villages or temporary settlements. Satellite and ground-penetrating radar revealed massive earthworks, sophisticated road systems, and agricultural terraces that could have supported populations in the millions. The Amazon, which we had always thought of as pristine wilderness, had actually been home to complex civilizations that had thrived for thousands of years. The discovery solved a mystery that had puzzled researchers for generations. When Spanish conquistadors first entered the Amazon in the 16th century, they reported seeing large cities and dense populations along the major rivers. But when later explorers returned to the same areas, they found only scattered tribes and dense jungle. Historians had assumed the Spanish accounts were exaggerated. Instead, it appeared that disease epidemics had caused the collapse of entire civilizations between the first Spanish contact and subsequent explorations. Similar revelations emerged from other parts of the Americas. In the southwestern United States, archaeologists discovered that the ancestral Puebloan peoples had built sophisticated astronomical observatories and developed complex irrigation systems that supported large populations in what is now considered desert wasteland. At Cahokia, near present-day St. Louis, researchers found evidence of a Native American city that had rivaled medieval London in size and sophistication. The city featured massive earthen pyramids, complex residential areas, and a grand plaza that could accommodate thousands of people for religious and social gatherings. These discoveries revealed that the Americas had been home to advanced civilizations for thousands of years before European contact. But they also raised troubling questions about what had happened to these societies. Why had so many sophisticated cultures collapsed or disappeared before the arrival of Europeans? Part 12. Secrets hidden in plain sight. Sometimes, the most revolutionary discoveries have been hiding in plain sight, waiting for new technology or fresh perspectives to reveal their secrets. In 1994, French researchers were exploring Chauvet Cave in southern France when they made a discovery that overturned decades of assumptions about prehistoric art. The cave walls were covered with paintings of remarkable sophistication, but they were over 36,000 years old, making them twice as old as the famous cave paintings at Lascaux. The Chauvet paintings weren't crude stick figures or simple outlines. They demonstrated advanced artistic techniques, including perspective, shading, and movement, that art historians had thought were much more recent innovations. Some of the animals were painted with such realism that they seemed to move in the flickering light of torches. But perhaps most remarkably, the paintings showed evidence of artistic planning and composition that suggested their creators understood complex aesthetic principles. Different artists had worked on the cave paintings over thousands of years, yet they maintained a consistent style and quality that implied the existence of artistic schools or traditions. This discovery forced archaeologists to reconsider the intelligence and capabilities of our earliest ancestors. If humans were creating sophisticated art 36,000 years ago, what else might they have been capable of? The answer came from an unlikely source: ancient DNA preserved in caves, bones, and even sediment layers. Advanced genetic sequencing techniques have revealed that ancient human populations were far more diverse and sophisticated than previously thought. They had developed complex languages, social structures, and technologies that left few physical traces but were encoded in their genes. Genetic evidence has shown that ancient humans were capable of long-distance navigation, sophisticated breeding programs for domesticated animals, and complex social networks that spanned continents. Some populations had even developed genetic adaptations to specific environments that demonstrated forward-thinking planning across multiple generations. Part 13, the mystery deepens. But for every mystery that new archaeological discoveries solve, they seem to create two more. In 2019, archaeologists working in the Philippines discovered evidence of human presence dating back over 700,000 years, hundreds of thousands of years earlier than humans were supposed to have reached Southeast Asia. The Luzon stone tools found on the island showed sophisticated craftsmanship that suggested their makers possessed advanced cognitive abilities. This discovery joined a growing body of evidence that human migration and development had been far more complex than the simple out-of-Africa model that had dominated archaeology for decades. Humans, or human-like species, appeared to have spread across the globe much earlier than previously thought, developing sophisticated technologies and cultures in isolation from each other. The mystery deepened with discoveries in South America that suggested human presence dating back over 130,000 years, a timeline that would require completely rewriting the history of human evolution and migration. The Cerruti Mastodon site in California provided evidence of human activity 130,000 years ago, while sites in Brazil and Chile have yielded artifacts that appear to be even older. If these dates are accurate, they suggest that human beings, or beings very much like us, were present in the Americas long before any known migration from Asia. This would require either unknown migration routes or unknown human species that developed sophisticated tool-making capabilities independently. But perhaps the most mysterious aspect of these ancient discoveries is how much sophisticated knowledge seems to have been lost and rediscovered multiple times throughout human history. Advanced mathematical concepts appear in ancient Babylonian texts, disappear for centuries, then re-emerge in medieval Islamic scholarship. Sophisticated medical procedures are described in ancient Egyptian papyri, forgotten, then rediscovered by modern physicians. This pattern suggests that human knowledge hasn't developed in a straight line from primitive to advanced. This discovery has led modern engineers to study other ancient technologies that might hold solutions to contemporary problems. Ancient Persian windmills, Mayan water management systems, and Chinese earthquake detectors have all provided insights that are being applied to modern engineering challenges. But some ancient technologies remain completely mysterious. The Damascus steel, produced in the Middle East between 300 and 1700 AD, was legendary for its strength, sharpness, and distinctive watered pattern. Despite centuries of research, modern metallurgists have been unable to recreate the exact process used to make this steel. The knowledge was lost when the last Damascus steel smiths died without passing on their secrets. Similarly, the methods used to create Roman glass with properties that we can't reproduce today, the techniques used to carve the massive statues on Easter Island, and the processes used to create some ancient textiles and dyes remain mysterious. These lost technologies suggest that ancient craftspeople possessed knowledge and skills that we're still working to rediscover. Perhaps most intriguingly, some ancient sites appear to have been designed with knowledge of acoustic properties that we're only beginning to understand. The Great Pyramid at Giza, Stonehenge, and various temples around the world were built with acoustic characteristics that create specific sound effects when people speak, chant, or play music inside them. Were these acoustic properties intentional? Did ancient builders understand the psychological and physiological effects of specific sound frequencies? Some researchers believe that ancient peoples used sound as a technology for healing, meditation, and religious experiences in ways that we're only beginning to appreciate. Part 15, The Pattern Emerges. As we examine these 15 extraordinary archaeological discoveries together, a pattern begins to emerge. Again and again, we find evidence that our ancestors were more sophisticated, more knowledgeable, and more capable than we've given them credit for. The traditional narrative of human history depicts a steady progression from primitive hunter-gatherers to modern civilization. But archaeological evidence suggests a far more complex story. Advanced civilizations seem to have risen and fallen multiple times throughout human history, each time taking their knowledge and achievements with them. Some of this lost knowledge was preserved in myths, legends, and oral traditions that we've dismissed as fantasy. But as archaeologists continue to make new discoveries, they're finding that many ancient stories contain kernels of historical truth. The flood legends found in cultures around the world might preserve memories of real geological events. Stories of flying machines and advanced technologies might be garbled accounts of real ancient innovations. The most revolutionary implication of these discoveries is that human civilization might be far older and more cyclical than we've imagined. Perhaps we're not the first technological civilization to arise on Earth. Perhaps our current level of advancement is simply the latest peak in a cycle of rise and fall that has been repeating for tens of thousands of years. This possibility would explain why so many ancient sites demonstrate knowledge and capabilities that seem impossible for their supposed time periods. It would explain why similar technologies and ideas appear independently in cultures that had no contact with each other. And it would explain why ancient texts and traditions contain references to advanced knowledge that their authors supposedly couldn't have possessed. Conclusion: questions without answers. These 15 archaeological discoveries have fundamentally changed how we view human history. They've revealed lost civilizations, impossible technologies, and mysterious knowledge that challenges everything we thought we knew about our past. But perhaps more importantly, they've reminded us how much we still don't know. Every new discovery seems to push back the timeline of human sophistication and complexity. Every new site reveals capabilities that we didn't think ancient peoples possessed. As archaeologists continue to explore our planet with increasingly sophisticated tools, who knows what other secrets they'll uncover? Perhaps entire civilizations still lie buried beneath ice, sand, or jungle growth. Maybe ancient libraries filled with lost knowledge are waiting to be discovered. Possibly, our understanding of human history will be revolutionized again and again as technology allows us to peer deeper into the past. The story of human civilization is far stranger and more complex than we ever imagined. Our ancestors weren't primitive people struggling to survive. They were sophisticated beings capable of incredible achievements. The question isn't whether ancient peoples were advanced. The question is, how advanced were they? And what can their lost knowledge teach us about our own potential? What do you think lies hidden in our past, waiting to be discovered? The next archaeological breakthrough could happen tomorrow, and when it does, it might once again force us to rewrite the story of human civilization. The journey into our mysterious past continues, and the greatest discoveries might still be ahead of us.